Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Red Dead Redemption 2 video, we're going to be figuring out if you can claim the highest bounty in the game, a $500 reward for turning in one of the Watson boys. So to my knowledge, this is the second highest known bounty in the game. We see a wanted poster for Dutch Vanderlyn, who has a $1,000 bounty, but one of the Watson boys at Watson's cabin has a $500 bounty, and we're going to be seeing if we can turn one of them in and collect the reward. So by now, I'm sure you guys are all too familiar with the story and home robbery of Mama Watson at Watson's cabin. Essentially, she mistakes you for one of the Russell boys who's supposed to be delivering gear and loot to her cellar. And eventually she figures out that you are not who she thinks you are. You're not one of the Russell boys, and she ends up storming out to going to find her sons. She gets on a little donkey and she rides out, and she has 4 sons that we can actually hear in a conversation a little bit later.
I don't know who's dumber, you, Ethan, Edgar, or Ezra.
Keep telling you, Ma, we'll get you a new place. Anything you want. Ain't like we're short on money.
I don't want a new place. I got everything I need right here. How many times, Elijah? Shut your mouth before I shut it for you.
We got a visitor.
You son of a bitch who put these scars on me. Kill him.
Now, her 4 sons are Elijah, Ethan, Edgar, and Ezra. Those are the 4 sons. And after you have this first encounter with Mama Watson, you can actually return a second time where you will find her sons there at the cabin, essentially waiting for you. So you have the opportunity to kill all 4 of the sons, but I intentionally did not because I was interested in acquiring something that happens if you visit for a third time. And again, I wanted to keep the sons alive. So if you revisit for a third time, or if you failed on the second attempt, you will find a letter that you can inspect. And that letter is Watson's scrapbook page. And there's 2 particularly interesting things here. It says, Sheriff places $500 bounty on the head of Ethan Watson. And then the second one is Edgar Watson escapes jail hours before hanging. So I know what I'm interested in here. I'm interested in that $500 bounty on the head of Ethan Watson. Now, the only problem with this is identifying who Ethan Watson is out of the 4 brothers. Because even though we see them in game and Mama Watson calls out to them, we don't specifically hear from them, and they don't go down the line and say, hey, I'm, Edgar. Hey, I'm Ethan. So we don't know who is who by looking at the photograph. So let's kind of examine this. Again, you can see the 4 brothers here. Now, I'm not going to lie, guys. I have no idea which one is who. They all look like they're wearing very similar cowboy hats and outfits. All of them have beards or big mustaches. The only one who I think we can really tell is either Edgar or Ethan, and I'm not sure who it is the photograph on the bottom right. It's going to be the guy with the big, handlebar mustache. No one else seems to have that. They all seem to have big beards. But this guy in particular has the big mustache. So I think we are going to focus on him. Now, unfortunately, there is another photo of the Watson boys, which, again, kind of confirms there is one guy with the big handlebar mustache who I think we're going to be targeting today. But even that photograph doesn't reveal any of the names. So that's by far the most frustrating part of this entire thing, as I wasn't able to nail down who I think the one with the massive bounty is. But we're going to try and do our best here, and we are going to try and find Ethan Watson and turn him in to the sheriff. So what I did was I reloaded my save and I returned back to Mama Watson's cabin. And this time I didn't need to go through her entire spiel, so I basically just shot her in the face, and then I ended up waiting another 24 hours, and I returned to the cabin where once again her sons were waiting for us.
You made the wrong move coming back here. You're wrong for the and you sure as hell don't go near.
So when this happens, you're automatically put into a dead-eye mode, and the game wants you to shoot all 4 sons, but I clearly didn't want to do that. So this was going to be a little bit tricky. So what I did was I ended up shooting them in the legs to sort of either stun them or cause them to drop their weapons. Now from there, what I immediately wanted to do was start hog-tying them one by one. Now, this does get easier the more you hog-tie because obviously there's fewer of them to shoot at you. And if you ever feel like you're getting in trouble with your health, just simply drink like a tonic or something along those lines. So that was my goal. It was to hog-tie all of them up and then identify which one was Ethan and which one had the bounty on them. So with all 4 of them hog-tied up, I ended up bringing them outside to try and identify who our culprit was going to be. And once again, I was looking for the guy with the big handlebar mustache. So that's what I did. I started looking at all 4 of our brothers here, and 4 of them in particular had massive beards, but only one of them had that handlebar mustache. And that is our fellow right here with the reddish orange hair. Certainly looks a little bit bigger from the last time we saw him in that photograph, but that's okay. I'm sure it will suffice. So it looks like this is the guy in which we are after. Now you can loot the 4 brothers on the spot here, but they won't have anything of relative interest other than some loot and some jewelry and stuff like that. So you can do that if you want. Once again, if you're trying this for yourself, don't forget to go inside and grab the lockbox, which is going to have like $73 in it. So that's actually quite nice. And also, if you don't have the semi-automatic shotgun, go down to the cellar. There's a semi-automatic shotgun there waiting for you, as well as a couple of other provisions and jewelry and ginseng elixir that you can grab from this place. So you don't just want to ignore the objective here. I mean, it is a home robbery after all. Now, after that, I was thinking, okay, how am I going to claim this potential bounty here? So I ended up grabbing who I thought was Ethan Watson, who I thought was going to give us the bounty, and I set off for the nearest town. So Watson's cabin is located in West Elizabeth. So I wanted to turn him into a place in West Elizabeth. So Strawberry seemed to be the closest town that I knew for a fact was going to have a jail cell and that was going to have a sheriff office. So I was riding along bringing him to Strawberry, and I thought everything was going fairly smoothly. And then, unfortunately, I ran across a civilian who ended up being not so kind to the fact that I had this wanted, I don't know, murder, villain, thief, whatever the case is, on the back of my horse. So I knew at this point it was likely not going to work out, but I was still going to hold out hope that if we brought Ethan Watson to town, that if we brought him to Strawberry, that we might be able to claim this bounty and we might be able to claim the reward. So all was actually going really well. Like, I brought him into the town of Strawberry, and I even started walking him to the sheriff office, and I thought to myself, you know, this is actually going to work. This would be so cool and such a nice little detail from Rockstar if they actually threw that in there. And then we decided to walk inside of the sheriff office, and again, I thought for a second it was going to work, and then we instantly became wanted. Well, I don't know what Rockstar's deal is with, like, the police in GTA 5 and the lawmen and the deputies and the sheriffs in Red Dead Redemption 2, but they always seem to, like, react so hostily. Their objective is shoot first, ask questions later, when it should be the opposite. If I had just had 30 seconds to explain, I would tell them that this is Ethan Watson, the man with the $500 bounty, and that I'm here to claim it. But unfortunately, you cannot do that. And then we ended up going downstairs. I'm pretty sure the sheriff accidentally shot Ethan. I was sort of using him as like a body shield. So maybe he wanted the $500 bounty for himself. Who knows? But unfortunately, you are not able to turn this in. That would have been the coolest little secret outcome of Watson's cabin if you found the scrapbook page and were able to turn him in. Now, kind of a mysterious element to this is you don't actually find the scrapbook page until the sons leave. So you have to visit for a third time in order to find this scrapbook page, which I don't know how it gets here. Like, do the sons just pull this out? I know it's not Mama Watson because in my playthrough, she's in the ground and it's a scrapbook page. So maybe the bounty is old, maybe it's no longer valid, but it just seems like an interesting thing to hold on to. Now, I don't know where I would go about finding the sons after acquiring this. I think this mystery is going to be solved. And Unfortunately, you cannot claim the second highest bounty in the game, which is a $500 one for the head of Ethan Watson. But regardless, I had a lot of fun with this experiment, sort of kidnapping the sons, trying to bring them to town, seeing what would happen. Unfortunately, nothing all that cool. And I think this officially wraps up all the mysteries with Watson's cabin. I really don't know what else more we could experiment here. But as always, if you feel like there's something I missed, be sure to let us know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily Red Dead Redemption 2 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.